don't actually live at my off-grid cabin, but it's a great place to visit. Up at the cabin over the course of the summer, it's been a good chance to relax, chill out, get a few jobs done, and even spend a bit of time with some friends. It's a great place to camp out, and it's always nice to have visitors. Now the summer is over, it's autumn, and this is my cabin. It's autumn here at the cabin, or fall as you call it in America or much of the northern hemisphere. It's been a pretty dry summer. We're still waiting for some rain, but there's always plenty of things to do. And the weather is cooling down, though. I must say it's been pretty nice overall so far. And here we are in about the second week of April, which here in New Zealand is, sort of early to mid-autumn. So there's always a feeling when I come up here that it's just a nice place to relax and escape from everything. There's not really a lot of pressure. I can just do things most of the time as I want to here and just enjoy being out in nature, and that's always great. I think if anyone has that opportunity to just get out and about in nature, it's just such a peaceful place, There's a lovely forest to walk through with a small stream and a waterfall. And isn't the sound of water just in itself so relaxing? I think we all have stresses in life and difficulties and things that take our attention, cause us, pain and stress. And so even though you can't fully escape from it, it's always nice to have somewhere where you can just get away from the normal run of life, and the difficulties. And that's why I enjoy coming up here to this cabin so much. Now, every season has its challenges and every season's different, and that's the same in life. We have basically different seasons in our lives. Some are easier than others. Sometimes we go through really difficult seasons, and it can feel like we're not going to see the end of them, but there always is hope, and in God there's always hope, in Jesus there's hope, and that's the really good thing. And so I come up here at times and it's just the escape, and yet I'm conscious, of how important it is to get my focus on the right things when I leave here. Sometimes it's a great place to focus, so when I go away from here I can refocus, because it's so easy to lose that sense of perspective in our life and to not see things the way we should. And I'm guilty of that a lot of the time, but man, if you've got a place to escape and just get away and be close to nature, sometimes it's just really, really good to be able to press into God, or just allow your thoughts to, kind of regather and get some momentum back when life's difficult and the seasons are difficult. There's a plentiful supply of firewood, but of course you have to put in the work to get it. This particular day I used the time to cut up and stack wood from a fallen pine. Having cut up some of the wood, I figured that it's alright to stack it on the ground, but it's going to get wet eventually, so it was time to build a small firewood shed enclosure. I don't know what to call it, it's quite small, but I set about building one. I had a bit of timber and some corrugated iron lying around, so I basically just built this little lean-to or whatever it is out of material that I had for the most part, so the size of it was determined by what I had on hand. I'm certainly not a skilled builder by any stretch of the imagination, but the little enclosure was sturdy and I was pretty much happy with what I had built by this point. I got the roof on out of a couple of old sheets of iron that I had lying around, and then because it's so low and I'd be having to bend into it to put wood in and take wood out, I didn't want to be able to hit my head on the iron, so I decided to put a bit of a beam across the front, something to hold on to, and also something that I'd rather hit my head on wood than cut it on iron, if you know what I mean. So I was happy with the outcome and decided it was time to start stacking some wood in it and staining the outside of it dark walnut stain to match the other buildings. Well, I didn't quite get to put all the wood in it, but that could wait for another day. But I thought, well, since I've got the firewood there, I may as well light a campfire. It was starting to get towards the end of the afternoon, and the weather had cooled down a lot from the earlier parts of the day. So the campfire was going to be nice not only for sitting around and keeping warm, but I figured I may as well cook my dinner on it as well. It was a pretty simple meal, but it was going to be a really tasty one. Steak, tomatoes, eggs, and some boiled vegetables. It turned out to be quite a chilly evening, but thankfully there was no wind, and with a full moon, it was just a perfect evening to sit around for a while beside the campfire, keep warm, and just enjoy the ambience. It's hard to beat the sounds of nature, waterfall and crickets, and the owl in the background is what we call a ruru or moorpork owl in New Zealand. The cabin really is a great getaway spot. There's always plenty of work that can be done, but there's no pressure to do it on any time frame, so I can just take my time and relax and chill out and do the odd jobs when I feel like it, in a way, when I'm up there. And the forest and the nature around about certainly makes it a peaceful spot. But I've also planted some fruit trees and some ornamental deciduous trees and things as well, which will, in years to come, I'm hoping will provide some shelter from the wind and also shade from the sun in the summer without sheltering and shading too much in the winter time. And I'm already getting some fruit off the fruit trees, which has been great. But I've also got to be mindful of my solar panels too. I don't want to plant things too close where they're going to block out the sun as well. I guess we all have different ideas about what constitutes rest and relaxation, and what things are hobbies, and what our favourite pastimes are. I have a lot of different things that I like to do, and one of them, well, I'm no marksman, but this is something I can do up at the cabin without disturbing anyone, and I actually find it to be quite relaxing. The kitchen at the cabin is quite small, but it's pretty well equipped, and I have a little gas cooker in there. Anyway, it's a good place for making a meal and sitting and eating. If you don't want to cook on the fire and would just rather use gas, which most of the time I do. The gas hob is quick and convenient, especially if you just want to boil a jug to make a coffee or something as well. It's just very easy. As I said earlier, it's early to mid-autumn here in New Zealand. As you can see, the hills are still very dry. We didn't have much rain at all for months, and hopefully the rain will come soon and green things up again. But let's go for a walk. Walking's another thing that I find relaxing and very enjoyable. It's also good for keeping fit, of course, and the sounds and smells and so forth of nature in the pine forest is pretty awesome. And sometimes you'll see deer in there. There is quite a population of wild deer in this forest actually. I haven't spotted any deer in here today, though it is the roar at the moment, and the wild stags or bucks have been quite vocal while I've been up at the cabin, but I'm not actually seeing any of them at the moment. But there's plenty of interesting bird life. Hello, Fantail. What a cutie. Okay, so back at the cabin, I do use the fireplace a lot when the weather's cool for cooking and keeping warm. And because the cabin is small and it's often running at night, I figured it's a really good idea to have fire extinguishers and also a smoke alarm just for safety. Particularly on cold nights, I often leave the fire running while I'm asleep, so it's important to, just in case anything goes wrong. Not that I'm expecting it would, but that there's warning and, ways to put the fire out and so on. So it's just probably a good idea to remind people to have fire extinguishers and smoke alarms in your home or your cabin or wherever you are. The cabin is small, but it's cozy and it's a great place to stay. Another thing I want to mention while talking about fires is maintenance. If you've got a fireplace, you have to maintain it if you want it to burn well, efficiently, and this little range is no exception. In order for it to be burning efficiently and not smoking a lot, you have to clean it regularly and thoroughly right round the inside of it, and there are special tools and things to do that, and of course your chimney as well. And then there's using something to keep it looking nice and black as well. In this case today I've just put some olive oil on it actually, which brought it up looking quite nice and shiny again. And even though it's small, this little wood stove is pretty much ideal for this small cabin. It keeps me warm, and also, well, if I've got the fire going anyway to keep warm, it's also pretty good just for cooking a meal on, even though you can't fit big pots or large fry pans on, and the oven's small, heck, it does me just fine. And while I do have solar power and a couple of lamps in the cabin, I also like to use candles and also a kerosene lamp sometimes for that extra bit of kind of ambience and the old-fashionedness about it too, with the wood stove and all that, it's just nice. And by the way, for those that don't know, that little lever acts like a sort of a damper, as well as determining whether the heat circulates right around the whole little wood stove or whether it goes directly up the chimney. Well folks, I hope you found this video inspiring and relaxing. For me, it's just another day at the cabin, another enjoyable stay. God bless, and remember, get out and enjoy nature.